Hello, welcome to Inspirations by Terry. I hope everyone is doing well, family. It is Saturday, and I am resting and enjoying my Sabbath. I wanted to bring to you guys um, a video with the topic of rejection. What is the spirit of rejection, and how I believe that everyone, not everyone, but a lot of us have suffered or gone through the spirit of rejection. And what is the spirit of rejection? The spirit of rejection is a demonic force that seeks to isolate, to demean, and destroy individuals by whispering lies and causing feelings of unworthiness and abandonment. It operates through various means, such as past hurts, family dynamics, and negative experiences, to instill a deep rooted belief that one is unwanted, unloved, and rejected by others. The spirit of rejection. To summarize, um, that's what it is. And I want to talk a little bit about um, when you're growing up, every child growing up in a family, the Most High gave us family for nourishment, to be nurtured, your mother's to nurture you, to be safe, protected, to be loved, and various other things why he created the family. Um, and a lot of times, the root of rejection is attached to most people in their childhood as young adults or young children. It could be that you have been abandoned by your mother. Some mothers have children and they don't have the means to take care of them, and they'll give them to someone else. Um, a grandmother, a aunt, sometimes their sisters, who knows? There's so many places that they could be placed, a foster home, and that spirit of rejection will attach itself to that child because early on that child feels abandoned, or that child feels like their parent, their mother didn't want them, or I was unloved, or I wasn't good enough. All kind of lies the enemy will come and speak to that individual's life. That's one example, an example of being abandoned. The other ones could be negative experiences. You could be, and we're still in the family. You could be raised in a family where um, there was only one parent. It could have been just your mother, or it could have been just your father, and you feel that negative experience of not having your father. Now you look for that man figure, that strong man figure in other things. It could be your boss, or um, it could be so many other people. But you're looking for that as a child, because that feeling of being protected is a natural feeling that feeling is just in you. It's indebted in you, that embedded, I'm sorry, in you, that you want to be protected. So if you grew up without a father, you long for that man, or that strong figure. You long for that if you only had a mother. And then if you go to a friend's house or a family member's house and you see a mother and you see a father, and you're watching and you're just scoping out the scene and how what that interaction looks like, you feel like you were you started on an unleveled playing field, or that you didn't have the right the basics that you needed to get a good start in life. An experience you could have had, that's just an example. You could have had siblings that bullied you, that called you names, that called you, demeaned you, made you like to destroy what they saw in you. For example, I'm going to speak about myself. As a young child, I loved to sing. Music was just inside of me. I always sang. And I'll never forget, one day my mom came home and she brought me this little record player. So it was in a box, like a hard box. And you open it up, and it had the turntable, and it had that's it. And then it just on the side, it had some knobs that say volume and a few other things. So she brought me this little box record player, and she brought me three records. One was from Nally Cole. The other one was Nally Cole, and the other one was what's that lady who sings with a really high voice? Lena Hathaway or something like that. That one, and another one, I can't think of the name of that one. But so the record player could play an album, and it could play 45s. And she gave me like maybe 3 or 4 of these little plastic things that you put in the circle of the record. So if you're playing, if it's not an album, you put the little plastic thing and it could play your 45. So I had 3 of them, and I had my little box, and I had my three records that she brought me, and I would just play these songs over and over and over again, and I'd be in my room minding my business, playing my music, and my brother would be across the hall in his room yelling or going woo, like woo, like a fox or something wild in the fields. Woo, you can't sing, shut up. Like you couldn't carry a tune if you had a bucket. And I was like, so I would slam my door. I would keep on singing my song, playing my song, and he would do that every time I would play my record if he was home, because every time I played he wasn't home. But when he was home, he made my little experience horrible. So growing up, I was always under the impression that I couldn't sing. I would always sing quietly, or if I heard a song that I really like, I would kind of like hum it like quietly. I didn't want anybody to hear my voice, because I felt like I had a horrible voice, because my brother spoke those words, those demeaning words over my life, and I received them. I was a kid. I was like 7 or 8. I received them. And then I was called names by the same brother. You big lips, your lips were so big, and yellow banana, and all kind of things. And growing up, when I got a little older, I would cover my lips when I talked to oh hi, how you doing? When I was like a little older, hi, how you doing? Until somebody said to me, Terry, why do you always do that? Like, why are you always covering your lips? I'm like, because I don't know, I don't like them. They're so big and blah 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 blah. And my friend said to me, oh my God, your lips are beautiful. I wish I had lips like yours. And I realized now and younger, I realized like those were lies. Those were he allowed Satan to use his lips to speak demeaning and try to destroy my self-confidence as a child with lies, right? It's a personal experience that I'm just sharing. Another one could be your parents had, I don't know, my mother had 9 children. Your mother could have had 5, 4, 3, 2, I don't know. But whatever it is, it could have been the comparison of children. Not that your mother compared her children, but she may have favored one child over the other, or your father, if your father was there, could have had some sons and favored the one who was more talented or the one that he saw potential in, and the other one who didn't show that potential in that one particular thing. He could have overlooked him, but the one that was overlooked could have had potential in something else, something with his hands, maybe mechanical drawing, maybe he could have been an engineer, so many things. But as a child, if we're not careful, how we how we are perceived, our perception of ourselves, or how we treat the little ones, that spirit of rejection can attach itself to children, and it changes the dynamic of their whole entire life. Um, and just right there, I can just continue talking for hours. How siblings can destroy one another instead of the place where you're supposed to come to feel safe, to feel wanted, to feel protected, to feel all those good things that the Most High intended for us, could be the very ground of a dysfunction for the rest of your life. I had two children. I had a son and a daughter. And when my kids were growing up, I think my kids had a pretty good childhood. It wasn't the best because, none of us are perfect, but I think my kids had a pretty good childhood. And I would hear my daughter or my son saying to one another, "Oh, shut up. You got a big nose, or you have blah, 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 blah." And I would say, "Don't say that. Like, don't say that," because I remember how words hurt me. So I would tell my daughter, "Don't say these things to your brother because that's your brother. You love him. No one can help. No one can determine how the Most High creates us. But He tells us in His Word that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So I'm not going to take it upon myself to look at another creation that the Most High created and speak to that creation and say, something's off about you. You have big this, and your nose is too big, and your butt's too small, or your feet are you got penguin feet, and or what do you call that, slew-footed, and you walk like." It's not your place to demean someone. That is not who you are. If you're a sister, you were created to be a sister, to love, to show support, to show the things that that you can show. You know what I mean? Like, not to demean. That is not your place, siblings. Even in joking and jesting, that is not your place. Love, respect, honor, and it's up to the parents to instill this in your children. When you see your children playing and calling each other out, calling each other names and calling each other, no, you sit them down and you correct them, and hopefully they get the lesson, and they grow up learning how to support and to love one another, because those words are containers, and words hold power, and words are life changers. People speak words over people's lives, and even though those words are lies, those words can take root, and you start believing these lies about yourself, that you're unworthy, that you are unloved, and that you're not wanted, and you look goofy, and you don't. No, we cannot believe the lies. So if I could speak to the younger women who are out here with young children, who are out here having babies with no husbands, and who are out here just having babies and breaking up with men just because they can, your child needs their father. And if you're having babies and there's nobody there to support, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're not giving our children the proper tools they need to succeed in life. And a family is not just one parent raising their kids just on purpose. If a family member dies, and a father dies or mother dies or something like that, that's a different story. But just to go having kids knowing that there's not going to be that stable, that man figure in the home, that covering, that protection, what are you doing? What are we doing? It's not fair to the child. It's not fair to the mother when she's trying to take care of these children by herself. Now she can't be properly speaking into their lives, properly loving them, right? Properly saying that they're taking care of and they're not hurting one another, because half of the time she's out of the home working because she's there by herself without the husband. And this is just to the single, this is just to the family who doesn't have the father figure in the home. And then there's times when the father is there, and half of the time he might not be spending time with the children. He might not be coming together with the wife and sitting down as a family and speaking into their children's life and calling out the things that they see that are gifts in them, and doing little things, playing games or going to the park as a family, just going for walks and doing family things. It's so important. And nowadays, everything with their children are video games or things that where they're isolated, they're by themselves, and the mom's here and the dad's there, everyone's in their own separate bedrooms, and they don't have time to come together as a family. Like, things are off. And this is going to have to be two parts, because every time I get ready to shift to a different place, I keep on hearing to say something else. We have to start when they're young. We have to instill good things in our children when they're young. If you see your child or your daughter always liking to play with someone's hair and always liking to do maybe she's a drawing, get her into classes, get her into maybe a hair, whatever. Call that gift out in them. If your son's always building, get him into something when he's young. They have so many things that they don't have it. You create it. Our kids need to be engaged, and don't let family members or the TV or some other source be the engaging factor in your child's life. No, you can't be there 24/7, but make time for your children, because you brought them into the world and they need you. I wish I would have made more time for my children instead of working all the time and doing all these other things, So that is the beginning of what I wanted to share. I'm going to do a part 2 on the spirit of rejection and how it affects, how the root is, how it's set up as a child, how the young boy may be in the home and he doesn't have a father figure. So everything that he's introduced to and he is exposed to are feminine things, and his mother being the strong person, or his mother being the caregiver, the breadwinner, the everything. His sister's always with, all this stuff, and no man and no structure as a man figure. And just to discuss where the spirit of rejection or that root comes from, because Satan, let me tell you, he's a dirty old conniving schemer that's been here forever, looking. It says in John 10:10 that the enemy, that Satan, roams around. He's roaming around, just looking, seeking whom he may devour. Scripture says that he's seeking whom he may devour. That means that he can't devour you unless you allow him to. Whom he may, who you give place to. He can't devour you if you don't allow the open door. But that's his job. So now, let's just say me, for example. Maybe I was supposed to be a singer. I don't know. Just saying. And here my brother crushed my spirit as a kid, because each one of us are seeds. The Bible says that he gives to everyone a seed of faith. And what is a seed? A seed is something that you have to plant, right? If you want it to grow. You plant it and you put it in soil, good soil. You water it, look after it, make sure it gets the proper sunshine, make sure it gets all the things that it's supposed to get. And that the potential of that seed grows up to be the the largest tree, the mustard seed. Okay? So imagine I was supposed to be that singer, and here Satan saw in me the potential in that seed to be a great singer, and he used my brother's lips and his lie, the words of my brother, and he used him to speak those lies on me and speak those things over me, where it crushed my spirit, it wounded my spirit, it demeaned me, and I felt like I couldn't sing, right? So now the potential of me was destroyed at a young age. And I never turned out to be that whatever it was I was created to be. And it's just not singing. It could be so many other things where you were told you were not this, and you were told you were not that, and you were told you were not this. Or you felt rejected or abandoned by your parents, or you felt like you didn't have a father, you didn't have a mother. Whatever the case scenario was, it started as at a young age. And then we fed that, or someone else came, not knowing what was spoken over you, but Satan uses people, and it was spoken over you again and again and again, and you start to believe that, and now you identify with, oh, I can't sing. Well, how do you know? Well, my brother said. He's not the authority. This person's not the authority. My son says, oh, I want to have a nose job. Why? Because everyone tells me I have a big nose. Well, they're not the authority. They're not the authority. So we have to be careful over the words that we speak to one another, because our words could be blessing or it could be cursing. The Bible tells us in Proverbs that be careful the words you speak, because you have the power to speak curses and blessings. Your words are powerful. Speak life. And he said not only speak it, but choose life. Choose life. So I'm going to end here with our first part. I'm going to come back with the second part as we turn into adults. And how the spirit of rejection can have us making all kind of wrong choices based on what happened to us as children. In Isaiah 53 verse 3, it says that Yeshua was despised and rejected. He was familiar with pain. He was familiar with the same pain that we felt as children, or you may have felt as a child. They held him in low esteem. He was wounded. He felt pain. He said that that he knows the feelings, that he walked as a man here on earth, so he can what is that word I'm looking for? He can oh, Father, I thank you. Associate, or he understands, and he has gone through it. He understands the pain that we have gone through, because he was also rejected as he walked the earth. In John 1:11, it says that Yeshua came unto his own. He said he came to his own, and his own people rejected him. He came to the Hebrews, and they didn't even receive him. The same with our families. You know, a lot of us, we are with our own families, our own family members, our own siblings, our own family, and they reject us. Not because Yeshua did anything wrong, because he didn't. He didn't do anything wrong. They didn't like what they saw in him. He walking around telling people, that his father sent him to show them the way. Well, who's your father? And who does this man think he is? Who does Yeshua think he is, telling us that there's no gall in him. He is this man that's perfect and upright, and he stands for righteousness. And they're looking at him like, who is this man? Like, get him out of here. We don't want you. We don't receive you. Why? He didn't do anything wrong. He did not do anything wrong, but yet his own people rejected him. In Psalms 27:10, it says, Even if my father and mother abandon me, Yah will hold me close. So there's always hope and there's always a plan for the wounded, for the rejected, for the abandoned one. We do not have to believe the lies of the enemy. And if this resonated with you, leave a comment. If this has, if you felt like as a child you went through any of these, leave a comment and share your experience. I'm going to speak to the wounded child as an adult in our second part 2 of this spirit of rejection. But as children growing up, we have to be careful, parents, mothers, fathers, to do a better job, to stop having so many kids if they're not being raised in a proper environment. A child is like a seed, just like the mustard seed. It has to be in a good environment. It has to get the right light, the right encouragement, the right protection, the right everything. Not that it's going to be perfect, but you have to give them a chance. A chance. You have to love them. You can't be speaking word curses over your children, calling them things that they're not. If you don't have anything good to say, as the our older people used to say, don't say nothing at all. Keep your mouth shut. If you don't have anything good to say, shut up. And pray. And pray. Walk away. Anyway, this is the end of my video. I will become part 2, the spirit of rejection, how it shows up in our adulthood, okay? So until my next video, be blessed, be encouraged, and know that Yeshua died for you to be redeemed, restored, and made, and transformed, and made new, okay? God bless. Bye.